Yes. And
Okay.
okay. Okay, let's go into it. So basically, again, if this is the first time you meet both of us, then you meet us so much more. So because Pati is the RM elect for OGX and I'm the RM elect for ICX, and you meet us more. So let's start with our first session with you guys, which is GB product report, and also what is our product focuses. So you might be wondering, if you are MCVP GT or you are MCVP marketing, you may ask yourself, why the heck am I in here? Like, I'm not from GV, I'm not managing GV or in any single certain way. We want everybody to be in present in all three of our product report session, and including the marketing review session as well, because to be as Isaac, we run all of the products is very important to us. It doesn't mean that we are deprioritizing GV, means that, oh, we do not run it, or that nobody is joining the sessions. We want every single entity to know what is happening within every single one of our products for you to make decisions for your entity later on, because all of you are going to be planning. And after replanning, you might be considering, is there some kind of products that you will look into further investing into? Would you like start something with GV? I heard some entities, they might be doing that. So that is something that we want all of you to be looking into. So I'll start off with today, like GV product and also current product focuses in this session. So yes, Fatih.
Expecting this, like I knew that I would be going into uncertainty, and I'm sure.
Right. So a bit of expectation from our side. Who knows the 6 thinking hats? If you know, you can type in the chat, so we would know that you know. So the expectation from our side is that the hats we need you to wear are black and white. Like first, like black to have caution, like to understand the issue and detect the problem from data analysis, and white to be judgmental. No, it's the opposite. Black to be judgmental and critical in a way that you will question the feasibility of some actions in the future. So we need you to really grab your notes, and we need you to write your thoughts and realizations in the coming sessions, both GV product report and GT product report, because a lot of insights will be very beneficial for your replanning and for your thought process as well. And finally, understand all the call to actions, but make decisions on what to take forward based on what will work for your entity context. So these are the expectations from our side. Safina?
Cool. Okay, thank you, Fatih. Let's move on with the first part, which is the GV product report. So the first thing that I actually want us to go through is what is the external context we're currently in. I know that we have external context session from Xiaomei yesterday, but one of the things to look into is basically our external context is COVID. Like, how is COVID actually happening within this world? Because we are doing exchange with every single region, to be honest. We are seeing actually like COVID is still rising in a way that is not seeing a trend where it is coming down or in any single ways. Even for Southeast Asia, with India, then the number might be even higher. I'm sorry for India, but then anyways, like one of the biggest thing is that the situation for vaccine, like for COVID, is not coming until like for the prospect, it's not until around like first quarter of next year or even half midterm to next year. So what does it say to us? It says to us that what we are dealing right now, it shouldn't be just talking about, I am waiting for my exchange to come back to normal. It's talking about how do we adapt with our current situation and with the external context that we are in, because this is not something that we can change or that is under our control. Yes. And the other thing is that in here, we do not talk about unsafe or unsustainable operation. This is something that we want you to keep in your brain, like tattoo it inside your brain, is that we are not doing unsafe or unsustainable operations. Ask yourself the questions, is this operation we are doing currently is safe for EPs? They are very important. We run youth leadership. Yes. Let's start off with something very simple. Although like COVID is happening, but then like GV itself is a very strategic and also important product to mostly all entities in AP, because particularly in AP, one of the special things that we have is actually that every single one of our entities actually run GV. And with under this COVID situation from the 1st of August, which is all your MC term starts up to today, we actually see quite some results coming from GV, like no matter from IGV or even from OGV side. And we are actually, for the current opportunities that we have with IGV, our predicted timeline, or that the opportunities they are expected to realize in the coming month, in December and January, and that is very terrifying. I'll explain even more why later on. Like, these are the current opportunities that we see, and what are the like realization start date that we also see from them. But however, looking at OGV, like the AP OGV, where are we actually applying to? We are seeing a lot of people are applying to Europe, particularly Europe, then AP, then MEA, then lastly Americas. But however, again, like what is happening in Europe? Like search on the news, the first thing that you will actually see is that Europe is in lockdown or in different part of it as well. Although Europe might have a lot of opportunities, but at the same time, keep aware of what is happening in their context as well. The second thing, then do we have approvals? Yes, we do also have approvals from these entities. Again, with the most amount of applications to Europe and also secondly to Asia Pacific, the good thing is that our approval is more towards Europe. Pati, can you help me with muting mics? Somebody's. Yep, Lucia, thank you. Yeah. Yeah, okay, cool, thank you. So please be aware of your mics as well. So for Europe, we are seeing a lot of approvals from there. So that is also where we find it very alarming as well. So next up about AP applications, our IGB applications. Luckily, most of it actually comes from AP. Of course, inside AP in tomorrow's external context or IR-based opportunity session by Connie and Phileas, you will get to know even more about get to okay. Okay, so basically you will get to know like what are the opportunities or that the internal AP in travel bubble policy that you can look into later on. Yes. Yeah. And at the same point, although we are seeing some approvals, but again, like internal AP to AP, so far, there are some countries that if you are totally COVID-free, that is okay for you to run exchange if you have completed the GB conditions. Which this actually brings to my next point. Luckily, all the approvals that we are seeing currently, it's the projected realization of the approvals that we have in AP are most likely to be realized in next semester peak. So let's say that you can see the peak of realization from our current approvals is actually around June. So that is some kind of good news that we actually have, or actually if you have currently your OGX or your OGV, you're running approvals, make sure that your approvals is somewhere like either you are going to a country that is very safe, like they have been COVID-free for a long time, let's say Taiwan, or if not, then push your realization date of your approvals to later part in the year 2021. Yes, but however, there are some red flags entities from here that if you haven't completed your GB condition, but you start having approvals, what does it actually means is that you do not have like a full protocol where you're keeping your EP safe, or that you have the plan B about what would happen if, let's say, COVID happened, how do we ensure the EP, what kind of rights do they have? So these are entities, please take care about your GB conditions first, because you are starting to have approvals already. It's not like you can push it to something else later on. Yes, and at the same time, do not approve or collect payment of your EP if your hosting entity has a rising case of COVID. Why do I mean it in that way? It's because this is all the AP entities' month of cash reserves left. So this is a very important metrics that as product VPs that you should also look into. Basically, you can see we are not all the entities in AP, all the MCs, you are actually in a financially healthy state. Like I put the standard in there, like what kind of financial reserve you should get in order to be called like safe, ideal, or even in danger. But let's say that one of the things is that if we now are approving EP that is most likely to break approval, let's say that they are going to a country that is most likely to have another wave of COVID, but we still collected money from them. So let's say that if we spend that money already on our operations, let's say MC expenses, conference expenses, whatever expenses that you have, do we have enough reserve to pay the EP back? That is the most important part. Like if we are collecting payment, like the part of it is, if you're unsure about it, do not collect payment yet. So that is what the point that I'm trying to let you guys to understand what is the financial situation of your entity in it as well. The next one, like I want everybody to have around like 1.5 minutes because we are starting late. So let's cut it shorter, 1.5 minutes about what are the upcoming risks that as Isaac we would face in the next 3 months. Particularly for GB people, I would love to hear you share like what are risks that you're facing, or at the same time, how do you see what are the risks that as Isaac we will all face for the next 3 months. So 1.5 minutes and we can start.
And clearly I don't see myself up on the list. She said, where you wanna go, how much you wanna risk. I'm not looking for somebody with some superhuman gifts, some superhero, some fairy tale bliss. Just something I can turn to, somebody I can kiss. I want something just like this. Oh, 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 I want something just like this. Oh, 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 I want something just like this. Oh, oh, I want something just like this.
Okay, we have like done with the 1.5 minutes. Like, is there anybody you would like to share? Like, what are the risks that you think as GV that we will face as ISAC, like for the next 3 months? Anyone in particular from GV? I rarely hear your guys' voice.
Hello.
Me? Cool.
Yeah. Yeah, so I can see a lot of risk. First will be the refund from the OGX people. So maybe we have to refund for the people that already submit a fee. And the second is another wave happen with lockdown, and we have to care a lot for the safety for the EP. The next will be the financial situation. Maybe some financial problems, bankrupt or something. The next will be unbalanced in terms of supply and demand. For example, a lot of people want to go, but there is not the enough project for us. And the last one, maybe the next generation, they are lacking of the knowledge that they can manage the whole EP. Yeah, because we have to transit the EP that's fair matching from now to like June or July next year. So we have to equip for the next generation a lot. Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Min. Anyone else? Anyone else? If not, then I'll close the space. Cool. So thank you, Min, for the sharing. Like, especially like these are also like common like difficulties that different entities and AP would also face with running GV as well. Because financially we are having a difficult part, and at the same time we have a lot of leads coming in, but we do not have like enough projects as we used to do in GV. But what are the things that we can do about it? Yes, one of the most important part about it is actually that we want GV to start running, like more IGV to, and also OGV itself to be able to run GV and also offer these kind of experiences to EP. But then at the same time, there is some prerequisite that we need to have for them. GV conditions itself is not an optional task. Although like a lot of times we are seeing how AP has been doing with GV conditions, we are seeing quite passively how we are actually facing this kind of a problem. Such as like, we always think that, okay, exchange is the core business that we do, and that is very true. We have run GV exchanges for AP for a lot of years, and that used to be our main focus. But with this current pandemic hit us, we actually have to understand that running exchange is not the only way of achieving youth leadership movement. And it's a little bit pointless for us as leaders to be striving for performance, even in the worst of pandemic itself, like in all of the circumstances itself. So that's why putting EP safety as the first priority. Although we also have to take care of financial control, it doesn't mean that it should come in the price of EP safeties, and this is what leaders should be doing. And that's how we are also should be innovating it from it as well. So that has put us into the next part about what is our product focuses. These product focuses itself is supposed to address the problems that we are facing, the ones that Min just now suggested, how is the financially, how can we perform with the leads, all of these are supposed to help with and cope with how to help us in coping with our current problems itself. So what is GB conditions? A lot of us heard about this. You see AI keep pushing about it. You see RO keep talking about GB conditions. Whenever, like, if you have a GB questions, we'll ask you, have you complete your conditions? Maybe you find that it is very tedious, or that, oh my God, why does RO actually always like ushers for that? But it has its purpose of keeping us. I am frozen. Guys, can you hear me now? Yes? Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay. Yes, now. Cool. Thank you. Let me know if I'm frozen again. So one of the things for GB conditions is that it actually guarantees that we are having financial safety. We thought about risk management. We did our program minimums, and also we keep our EP safe, and also COVID-19 change management plans. So the progress about this is actually currently in our OGV in Asia Pacific. Luckily, like currently we see like a few entities achieved 100% of it. So congratulations to entities such as Myanmar, Indonesia, and Sri Lanka. These kind of efforts is highly appreciated, and it also means that you are putting your entity in a very good hands, and that you're putting your EP safety at first. But we also have a lot of entities that is only having very few progresses. So for the red flag entities and the yellow flag entities, I'm not going to read out the names, but you know who you are to please focus and also prioritize in completing the GB conditions before any single approvals or even applications start coming for the next peak again. As for IGV, similar situation, although like we have less entities that run IGV compared to OGV and AP, but however, like the completion rate is also not as high as well. So these are also entities like in AP, like congratulations, there's even more, Indonesia, Myanmar, Nepal, and also Sri Lanka for completing all your IGV conditions as well. But for the rest of the entities, please take note of it. And also, knowing where we stand globally, actually we have a lot more entities that completed their conditions already. And as AP, we always talk about limitless excellence and actually delivering more experiences. If GB itself is a key and core product itself, we should perform even better in completing this kind of conditions for GB, so that we can start to run GB in a safe way in AP. Yes, and moving on to the next part, like when we talk about GB conditions, we will always hear about GB principles as well. But one of the things is, what is the difference between GB principles and GB conditions? Maybe you have a lot of these questions, or you have asked somebody else before, but it's actually a similar concept. Under GB principles, we're explaining why are we deprioritizing GB starting from the first part of like Q1, Q2 of 2020. And inside of GB principles, we talk about GB conditions, entity way forward mapping, and also financially, how do we keep our entity financially safe? So this is basically how GB principles and GB conditions. For more information, we will actually go into a deeper dive of what is in GB principles and how is the implementation and GCPs itself will go into, and it will be delivered in Xiaomi's session either today and tomorrow. We will have 2 sessions about it. Cool. So moving on, the next part under GB principle, one of the things that we have is the IGV finance model. So some of you may have heard about it. So, a few of you have put it into plans already. But however, we always know that GB and AP, especially IGV, is not the most sustainable product on earth. We are actually running on loss from time to time. So in the meantime, like inside this pandemic, it doesn't mean that although we may not have as much EPs coming, but it doesn't mean that we don't take the time to review how the financial model currently is for IGV itself. So remember these 4 core elements. This is just serving as a reminder. It's not something new to most of you. Do the cost analysis, do the market price analysis, know what are the minimum costs that you have and how much your organizations are actually willing to pay for our service. At the same point, like determine where's the pricing and also when are you charging the state. But one of the things that is coming as new, which is the financial model change guide. So this is a new guide that is coming into for entities that currently, if you can start the change management or financial model, then I highly suggest you to go through these kind of models. It's for faster, sustainable, and profitable IGV operations to be restored for some entities. So please read this guide if you regard your entity is like who can start the change management for GB and also exchange recovery for that. And for more of this information, again, it will be covered in Xiaomi's session, 2 sessions later on today and also tomorrow. the next thing about like after we talk about financial model, then we always talk about sustainability. And this has always been like a very huge part of IGV that we always talk about, or how has the sustainability level has been for AP and why is IGV unsustainable? This is the current like how the sustainability level of our product, IGV and GV for each entity itself is. So you can actually look into why are we still having so many level 1 like sustainability level. There is a few factors that I've listed there, like some of it is sometimes is like lack of financial model, profit and loss wasn't very well managed, and also the volume is all contributing factors into why we have such a sustainability level. But please do not regard this as because, oh, it's because of pandemic, I do not have volume, so that's why my sustainability level is low. Treat it as a, look at in a way, it's actually before pandemic, we only have 3 entities within AP who reached level 2 for IGV sustainability. And this hasn't improved since the pandemic has come as well. So during this pandemic, we talk a lot about like focusing on the product itself, how do we like strengthen it, how do we become a stronger product. But however, we're not seeing a lot of results in actually having a sustainability level. So this is something that I hope you guys can also look into. What is the current sustainability level in data? Yes, include, so remember the call to action from here is to include the financial model review as part of your pre-attraction, including legislation and downscaling it with your LCs. The second one is actually look into like sales for global hosts. We actually have a IGV sales session later on in this conference that will be delivered by Sumi. So in case that you're looking to restart your IGV, so please also like mark your questions and actually go to day 5 IGV sales sessions with Sumi and ask her questions about how to sell it better. She is a professional in that. Yes. So the last part of the product focus is actually global project. So global project is talking about how can we make sure all our projects is actually contributing to SDGs. So one of the things that to look into is when you're doing IGV national project mapping, look into how can you incorporate the global project mapping into your national project mapping as well. Have your LC implementation guide, and also for OGV, start to talk to your marketing about how can you align these kind of marketing message and also with their IGV partners in case they are running global partner projects as well. Cool. So something for you to look forward to in the upcoming GV sessions is we'll have a GV conditions implementation deep dive later on today, and tomorrow, that's what's new next in GV principle and condition GCPs. We have IGV sales workshops from Sumi, and the last one is you will also have one more GV session with me, which is the network management, culture shaping, and also network management. So I hope you guys could also understand that as how we're trying to support GV as much as possible. So you will have these kind of sessions and prepare as much questions that you have in these touch points with us as well. So there's something that I wanted to wrap up the GV product session with you guys is that although every single, like this product has compared with last year, where GV has been, we changed it a lot. Like just 1 year, everything changed for GV. But however, the one thing about product and product development pathway is that it's never the smoothest. Look at how Airbnb actually started. It started with an idea, and then it gone through a lot of trouble. It gone through troubles with like a company doesn't like it, the market doesn't buy into it, the product wasn't sustainable, and there's a point where there's a realization. And for us, it's the same. We have ran GV all across like in Isaac for a long time, but at the same point, it doesn't mean that our product itself is perfect. So there's also what we're trying to see is that our financial model is not sustainable. Currently in pandemic, we are not coping as well, as good as it is. But at the same point, this pandemic itself can be the point of realization of how do we actually understand, like, how can we shape this product to be more fitting towards what is our current circumstances so that our product can go even further in the future days. So I hope that you can also get this message from us is that we're not asking you to strive to win a short sprint. Isaac is not just about your year as MC. It's not about the next peak only. It's always about the triumph in the marathon. How can the product run longer and longer in 2 years, in 3 years, in 5 years' time? Be patient for growth. Like growth would always takes time, and be patient with how much work you actually need to put into for a stronger product as well. It's only when we have a stronger product that we can provide like sustainable and impactful and also less risk to our EP journeys, so that these are also the very impactful GV experience that we can make them alive again within AP as well. So that's it for me in GV product state. I hope that you have enjoyed and also gave you an overview and some reflective questions about how should we look into GV. And now we will move on to GT.
Let's take 1 minute break, everyone, and start exactly as